All right, guys, we got to talk about this guy, Clavicular, okay? Clavicular, I think he's 19 years old, and he's what's called a looks maxer. Now, all this stuff, I learned about it relatively recently. It's relatively foreign to me, but this is like a right-wing adjacent community, sort of like, you have the red pill, you have the groypers. Well, the looks maxers are sort of adjacent to that, and, it's this sort of like nihilistic philosophy that like nothing matters, everything is fake, so all I'm going to do is try to mog other people. In other words, I'm going to try to become as good looking as I can be, become as much of a Chad as I could possibly be. And so you get goofy things like they hit themselves in the face with a hammer because allegedly if you do that, when your bone structure heals, it heals in a more masculine way. So you have more defined features if you hit yourself with a hammer. How much of this is a meme? How much of it is real? It's kind of hard to decipher. But anyway, so this guy Clavicular, boy, oh boy, he went on the Daily Wire recently. He did an interview with Michael Knowles, and that was hilarious. We talked about this the other day, that now the right built this monster and they don't know what to do with it because now they're not team players. They're not about the party politics. They're not about like yay Republicans and MAGA. It's like they're doing the purity thing where it's like, no, I'm the purest and further right-wing person. And that is now undermining the broader project. So more on that in a second. I got some clips from the Michael Knowles thing that I haven't been able to show you yet, even though we talked about this the other day. But let me start with this. This is a video that was floating around TikTok. Here you have Clavicular, and he is explaining how Charlie Kirk would be alive if he was hot, if he was better looking. I'm not kidding. Here's what he said. Let's listen.
Would Charlie Kirk have gotten assassinated if he were Chad? Well, probably not, and here's why. Good-looking people experience something called the halo effect, so it's quite possible that if Charlie were to be better looking, someone wouldn't have hated him enough to assassinate him. What happened to him is quite terrible, and this might be an insensitive video to make, but I'm really trying to bring awareness to how brutal the black pill is. Looks really are going to determine the quality of your life to a high degree, so if you're not doing everything you can to maximize them, you're missing out.
I'm at a loss for words. What I would honestly say about this, though, is, and I'm curious what you guys think, I think it's a troll. I think he's trolling. I think this whole looks maxing thing is like, it's like a troll, I mean, they basically created a religion around, like, be as good looking as you can be and become a Chad, right? And, getting surgeries and all sorts of stuff, hitting yourself in the face with a hammer, taking all sorts of weird substances, steroids when he's a fucking teenager, right? But, like, I can't help but think it's a troll. Like, it's almost like an art experiment, right? That's what I think. That's what my gut tells me, because I almost can't imagine people being this silly. You know what I'm saying? Like, I almost can't wrap my mind around anybody actually being all in with this shit. All right, but so there you have that. But that's actually like, it shows you what these people are about, where they're willing to go all the way to the point where even though they're right-wing, they undermine right-wing politics more broadly. Because now it's like you right-winged your way into doing an anti-Charlie Kirk video by saying he was ugly and that's why he was killed. Which is just so... I mean, that's so absurd. That's so absurd. But again, I think it's sort of a troll job. All right, now, here we go. Back with his interview with Michael Knowles. And this is one of those moments that the right was just absolutely coping and seething over. Because here he says, if it's J.D. Vance versus Gavin Newsom, how would this very right-wing guy vote? Listen.
Yeah, but I mean, like, this next election cycle, who's going to win? It's going to be Gavin Newsom against J.D. Vance, because J.D. Vance is subhuman and Gavin Newsom mugs.
J.D. Vance is subhuman and Gavin Newsom mugs.
Subhuman?
Yeah.
What makes you say that?
He's got a very short total facial width to height ratio. He's obese, very recessed side profile, whereas Newsom is like 6'3" Chad.
So JD's very tall. JD's got to be 6'2", 6'3".
Gavin Newsom obviously mugs him to death.
So you think you're a
Gavin Newsom obviously mugs him to death.
Newsom head. You prefer Newsom to the vice president.
I'm just telling you who's going to win.
Do you prefer him though?
Honestly, it's hard to say, but Newsom being that much more of a mogger and like having a president who's like fat and especially that young.
You think he's? I don't think he's fat.
I would say
he's a bigger guy for sure.
It's just embarrassing. Like, how are you fat and you expect to like lead a country? You can't even be in shape,
So you're going to notice this throughout. Michael Knowles literally just doesn't know how to deal with this. It's like, it doesn't compute. He's like, wait. You're going off of the approved talking points. You're not allowed to say this stuff if you're in our community and if I'm interviewing you. All right, here we go.
So let's say you got to vote. It's 2028.
I'm voting for Gavin Newsom.
You're voting for Gavin Newsom.
You can't be that subhuman.
So hold on. You got. All right. Well, this actually is up a thread with the whole conversation.
Now, notice how this dovetails with the Groypers. What do the Groypers say? The Groypers are like, well, Gavin Newsom has, a beautiful white family. The kids even have blonde hair. It's like he's like an Aryan Ubermensch, right? It's almost like his family was created by some AI program to be a typical Aryan family. They eat that shit up. They love that shit. And meanwhile, they look at J.D. Vance and they're like, bro, you have an Indian wife and Indian kids. Fuck you, is what the Groypers say. They're like, you're a race traitor. You're a race traitor. This is what they say. And so that's the Groypers out right-winging other right-wingers, but it's like a horseshoe theory and coming back around to be like, I'll support the Democrat because he's white. He's a white guy and he's better looking. And that's what these looks maxers are doing too. They're like, well, I mean, Gavin's just way better looking. It's like they care more about that shit than they care about anything like policy-wise when it comes to economic policy, when it comes to foreign policy. And so again, they built this monster. The right built this monster. And now you're dealing with the logical endpoint, the logical consequences. It's been a speed run to the bottom, and here we are.
Because you look at these two candidates. You have Gavin Newsom, worst governor in the country. I think we would all agree. Destroyed his state, let its main city burn to the ground.
See, now he's going to do the fucking low IQ Republican talking points. Basically, like, open up the fucking fortune cookie, read the right-wing point on the fortune cookie. He's going to go through his whole spiel, and it's not going to work.
Because of his incompetence, is a personal, complete derelict, liar, degenerate. But he is good looking. I'll grant you that he's good looking. Yep. And it kind of looks like Patrick Bateman, American Psycho. Hey. And then you have this vice president to President Trump, the transformative right-wing president in our lifetimes, who, do you support Trump or no?
Yeah.
Okay. So you got this vice president handpicked by Trump, who is extremely intelligent, very right wing. I think he's a pretty good looking guy. I don't know. Maybe I guess you disagree. But he's all these things, checks all these boxes, would have all these great policies. And regardless, you're going to pick the pro mass migrant, pro trans, pro murder the babies, pro burn the cities to the ground, pro BLM Democrat because he's skinnier than the conservative vice president.
100 times over.
I'm telling you, and again, you guys tell me what you think. I think it's all a troll. I think he's playing a character. I know he's young, and when you're young, it makes it more likely you do stupid things and believe stupid things, but like, I think he's a troll. I don't actually, like, he's playing these guys like a fiddle. And as you could tell, Michael Knowles does not know how to deal with this. He goes, I just hit you with all of the stupid Daily Wire talking points about how Republicans are good and Democrats are bad, and you still didn't fucking give in. Oh no. All right, we got more. Here he is talking about trans people, and he goes so far right-wing that he horseshoes back around and makes an argument for, I guess it's okay if people are trans. Watch this.
I just don't think it's necessarily a bad thing to just advocate for your average person to only concern themselves with their own.
To me, that's the big cope. I agree with many of the observations you're making about the society, but the big cope, you heard this with like the libs when they were trying to push the trans stuff and they were upset that some of us were pushing against it.
Michael Knowles, he's so boring. For all of his hideous, fascist, warmonger, pro-billionaire ideas, like, the thing that's most offensive about Michael Knowles is he's so fucking boring. Like, I already know what you're going to say before you say it.
And they said, how does this affect you? You know, you're walking out, it's basically your society is Sodom and Gomorrah. And they say, well, how does it affect you if I decide I want to, like, castrate little kids in the school and redefine marriage and so on?
Says a guy who I believe he made out with another man on camera because he was trying to be an actor. He's a failed actor. That's why he now works at the Daily Wire. But isn't he? He's on camera making out with other men. He's like, Sodom and Gomorrah is the problem. Fucking spare me.
Babies and sacrifice them to Moloch. And how does that affect you? You just mind your own business. And I think, how about I don't mind my own business? How about my business is my community and I have a right to enforce standards and norms that are good and traditional and conducive to flourishing.
Like making out with men on camera?
But the problem is, you see what you just did there is you spiked your cortisol thinking about transgenders.
Will that max anything on me?
No, that's a very catabolic hormone. So if you're advocating for people to, go around and, concern themselves with these issues or go to, like school, like board conferences and like, be outspoken about this, that's just largely going to be unproductive. And, it might seem like a doomer mentality or like, you're just going to let society go to It's like on an individual level, it's not going to be productive.
But on a political, right. Well, look, it's been productive in as much as, at least the trans thing, there's so many other problems. Well, at least the trans things, though, we've kind of won on that.
Well, the way that I see trannies is like, that's one more person to mug once they brutally butcher themselves transitioning,
But is it, I see that.
Like, go descend yourself. Like, that's fine with me.
Because you're ascending yourself.
So do you understand the argument he's making there? Now, he used a slur, but he said, if you're trans, go ahead and be trans because you're just removing somebody from the field of competition where, I'm trying to mog everybody. And I feel like if you do that, then I'm definitely going to mog you because I'm obviously going to be better looking than you if you're trans. Again, it's performance art. This is performance. It has to be performance art.
Yeah, I'm going to ascend and this person is going to be a comical botch job, you know? So like that just seems like very logical to me. Like, yeah, go be a tranny. Like now I mog you to death.
Now, again, Michael Knowles, no idea how to deal with this. No idea how to deal with this. All right, and I got one more. So here he is talking about Sydney Sweeney. Again, I lean towards this is all performance art. This is all like playing a role. It's fake, but like he's playing the role really well and going so far right wing that he actually ends up horseshoeing around a little bit. Listen to what he says about Sydney Sweeney, and this should further let you know he doesn't mean this shit. Here we go.
What are we talking about by hot? Like good looking? Like some people think that like Sydney Sweeney is extremely attractive.
I would say, I don't want to scandalize anybody, I'm a married man. I would say Sydney Sweeney is very attractive.
I would say that she's pretty malformed. Her upper maxilla is extremely recessed, right? She's got the eyes of doom.
Her upper, I've never even heard that word. Her upper maxilla is extremely recessed. She's malformed, bro. What?
Her upper maxilla is extremely recessed, right? She's got the eyes of doom with no infraorbital support. She's really not that much of a looker in her face. I think that a lot of people with brains find her attractive because of her body.
I don't have porn. I don't know. Well, you're telling me...
a lot of people with porn brain find her attractive because of her breasts is what he said, okay.
You're telling me that if a guy finds Sydney Sweeney attractive, he's got to have porn brain?
I think that she's above average in looks, but certainly not that like, you know.
No, you said she's got a sunken suborbital... I forget the words that you said.
Yeah, she's got a recessed infraorbitals and a recessed upper maxilla.
You're telling me you go to a bar.
I'm just saying she's not the pinnacle of looks that I'm talking about to actually succeed on social media. She's average to above average.
Michael Knowles does not know what to do with this. It does not compute. His brain is now scrambled eggs. He's like, I don't know how to respond. Somebody find me Ben Shapiro. Where are the talking points I should use now? Like that's what's happening. So look, bro, I'm telling you, the impact of Nick Fuentes in this space, the impact of Candace Owens, the impact of Clavicular, you now have, because of like right-wing political nihilism and extremism, they've now gone so far that they are fully undermining MAGA, fully undermining the broader right-wing project, and like inadvertently sort of helping the left. And look, you love to see it. You absolutely love to see it. Because if now, like the purity testing on the right has gone so far that they're all like trying to look smacks and become a Chad. And so as a result of that, they go, hey, anybody, if you want to be trans, go ahead and be trans, because that just means I win in the sexual marketplace because I'm more Chad than you. As long as at the end of the day, trans people get all their rights, as long as at the end of the day, trans people are protected, like they're eating themselves alive. They're eating themselves alive, and it is a glorious thing to see. It truly is. Whereas, on the Democratic side, as we've talked about time and time again, you now have all of those like resistance liberals, the liberal left divide back from the Hillary Clinton versus Bernie Sanders days, that has now healed in the sense that virtually all of the Hillary voters from back in the day, they all look around now and go, oh my God, no, the people who are better at fighting MAGA and delivering on my values, it's Bernie, it's the left-wingers. And so the liberals have moved to the left, and the left-wingers are still left. And so all the Democratic voters have become lefties who are largely simpatico. Do we have disagreements from time to time? Sure, but it's all reasonable. It's all within the realm of policy and strategy. So we're more unified than ever before, right? And furious to fucking rid this country of the scourge of MAGA fascism. And on the right, you have the rise of Candace Owens, who thinks every fucking thing is a conspiracy. You have the rise of Nick Fuentes, who spends all of his time beating up on Trump and J.D. Vance. And you have the rise of shit like this, political nihilist shit like this. This is what happens when capitalism and individualism and self-obsession gets to its logical endpoint, is you get looksmaxers like Clavicular, who now are so far right, they're now pulling the reverse Jimmy Dore, where it's like, I'm so far right that I'd support a Democrat over a Republican. That's where we are. And so, very fascinating thing to see in real time. And again, the impact of this is going to be devastating for Republicans and great for non-Republicans, and I swim in that. Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.